Hello, everybody. It's Ryan from Pi Records, and I'm here with Ernest and Darren from King Pelican. How are you guys?
Doing good, Ryan. How are you?
Well,
Good,
man,
very good. So, first, I want to say there's two songs that stuck out to me. The first being Turtle Over Tokyo. I love the just the chord progressions and the minors that you used. And then the other was Western Satellite, which
Nice.
I thought that was brilliant.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. The Turtle Over Tokyo, that's on our latest EP that we have out called East Meets West. And that's a fun song to play. It was fun to record. And the thing I like about on that song, it came about pretty quickly. Just one day I was sitting in my music room and I'd heard a couple of things that really had influenced me or I guess inspired me, were stuck in my head. And they were Aleki tunes, they were a Japanese form of surf, Aleki tunes. And I thought, man, all of us had been, Darren and our bass player, Lloyd Walsh, had been listening to a lot of Aleki and, sharing songs and it just happened. And when I brought it into our music place and I started to play it, Darren got it. I just immediately had the feel for it on the drums. And then Lloyd is playing a bass six. And that really adds to the tonality of it. It gets makes it a little gritty. So yeah, that's a fun song. Western Satellite, man, that is one of the original tunes I wrote in King Pelican.
that's
So
like
it goes
2000s, right?
Yeah, it goes
Yeah.
way back.
Yeah.
And it was it was again something that just kind of, I have this whole imagery thing that I do, and Western Satellite has like a backstory to it. It's about a monkey in space orbiting the Earth. There's more to that, but I'll hold it off right there. And I do appreciate that over the years, people have seemed to really dug that tune. So yeah, Ryan, I like those two songs as well.
Awesome. So your newest release, East Meets West, not only is it on Bandcamp for digital download, you have the 7-inch. Can you show me the color of the 7-inch?
Yeah.
Awesome. Now,
Yeah, it's got a little transparent vinyl too on this one. Oh, but that's good enough.
so Sean Berry of Double Crown really spoke highly of you guys. He was blown away by it, as was I.
Oh,
Was
Thank you.
this this 7-inch in particular? What was it? Was it something you had written before quarantine, or was it something you were working on during quarantine and kind of just lit a spark?
well, we'd been in the studio recording songs, and we went into a couple of sessions, and I think, what did we do, Darren, about 9 tunes?
Yeah, we had a bunch of stuff already kind of banked,
And
Yeah.
and we still do. I mean, we've got other material that we can release hopefully early next year. And everything started to happen, with the pandemic. And we talked about it as a band, and we decided what we wanted to do was to put what we felt were the 4 best songs we had recorded so far, and put onto a 7-inch EP, make it thematic, so the idea is that one side kind of pays homage to Aleki music, although it's not Aleki, but it's inspired by it. And that's the east side, and the west side is inspired by spaghetti Western tunes. And we talked to a really talented graphic designer in town, and we met about the design of the cover and the color scheme and just some other features about it. And his name is Jamie Stolarski, and he's a very talented artist. And he knocked it out of the park, Ryan. You know, when we saw the cover design, we went, whoa, you know, and it's a whole thing. It's the back of the cover, the front, what the actual vinyl piece looks like. And I think sometimes people like the cover more than they do the music, but you know, but that's okay. Darren, is there anything you want to add to that?
I mean, no, I think that's pretty much it, man. I think we had reached this place. We hadn't put anything out in a while, and we had a lot of stuff recorded, and we kind of had a long throw idea, which, you know, we'll see how that works out. But the long idea was that we would do thematic EPs, and each one would have like cool art, and you know, and that went around and around with a bunch of funny ideas and good ideas. But I think the one that just kind of squeezed to the top was the East Meets West was a real obviously cool one, and everybody liked it. And you know, it was pretty easy to like it. And then you know, once Jamie did the art, we were like, wow, this we were all very, very happy with it. So yeah, it's, and it, you know, we don't even have any records right now, because we got more coming, but that first batch went in like no time. It was crazy how fast it went.
Yeah, we were pretty happy to be sold out of the record. We're repressing it and getting a larger amount.
Wow.
But as you know, Ryan, with supply chain issues during the pandemic and post-pandemic, everything's running slow. So we hope to have another run of these records, probably around, we're looking at March. The pressing plant has us on the schedule for mid-February to press these, and it'll be on a different color vinyl. So it'll be a whole different limited edition of the record. But I did want to say something about Sean Berry at Double Crown. I love his magazine, The Continental, and Sean's been really, really good and kind to carry our previous releases in his store. And the other thing I really, yeah, exactly. See, I get the magazine right here too.
Yeah.
The thing I really appreciate about Sean is he's a really good guy. I can send him a note and ask him for advice about, you know, something, and he's really generous with his knowledge. And Double Crown puts out a lot of good stuff, you know, some really great artists.
And they support on their website. They support a lot of other bands. They carry a lot of other labels' music in their store.
Oh yeah, definitely. And that's the cool thing about, you know, about Sean is, you know, they're not these labels that are coming up like you know, High Tide Recordings and Otitis Media. No one's in competition with each other, right? They're all there to help, and it's actually creating more of a buzz, creating a better community for this type of music to get out and be distributed. And you know, all those guys are great, and we're all friends, so that certainly does help.
So speaking of friendship, you have some pretty cool things about this 7-inch that involve some pretty big bands, some wonderful bands. Tell me about the two special things you had going on with this 7-inch.
Okay, I'll get it started, then I'll flip it over to Darren for some color commentary on our good friends here.
Astros
the
lost,
liner
man.
notes.
I got no color commentary left.
Yeah, really. The liner note for the record is Ted Miller, Ted Pilgrim of Satan's Pilgrims. He was kind enough to say a few words about it. We met Ted several years ago. I received a message from Ted. He was going to be in San Antonio on a job, a non-music related job, and he just, you know, thought he'd reach out and touch base. And so we met at a very cool kind of Asian fusion restaurant. We had a gig there, and by the way, it's so cool because of the same graphic designer, Jamie, did all of their continuity for that place.
Oh.
And he came with his wife, and we're a three-piece band, so we're there in the corner, we're just doing our thing, and he dug it. And then the next day, Ted is also a record collector, and he's very into, here in San Antonio, we have a little bit of a history with a thing called Chicano Soul and West Side Sound, stuff like that. And Ted was looking for records of early Chicano Soul stuff here in San Antonio. And then that evening, it just so happened a band was playing that features that sort of sound. And I took him to a very cool venue, and he, we hung out, and he really dug the music. And so we just kept in touch. And then out of the blue, this is really cool because Ted is a great guy. Out of the blue, as a thank you for that, he sends me this.
Wow.
And we all know this is the one with the velvet cover. We all know this is a fantastic record.
Yeah, that's a great record.
And then we find out that he also is the U.S. representative for some guitar effects called Surfy Industries. They got a great reverb tank called a Surfy Bear.
Yeah.
So he's our connection for that equipment too. And again, Ted's
Surfer
generosity.
Joe.
Yeah, it was Surfer Joe.
Yeah.
And my reverb tank, my Surfy Bear reverb tank, the pin for the AC cord got bent. And I asked Ted about how I could order another one. And, out of the blue, the little box comes in and it's a replacement, and that's just the kind of guy he is. So, and I think, Darren, you have some other great interactions with Ted too, don't you?
Well, yeah, he's a drummer, right? So he likes a lot of different music, and I come from a jazz background, and he really likes that, and we connected on that level. I thought that was pretty cool, and he has said some nice things as a result of knowing that I do that, and so that was a nice thing. Also, the other connection with the recording is through Tremolo Beer Gut. We had played. Well, we've played what? Well, we've kind of hung out with those guys for several years now. But we played. We've done some shows with them. But Nalna from the great Nalna from Tremolo Beer Gut mastered the record. So he's been a good friend, and Yebo and all those cats have been friends of ours. We had a good time playing Surf Guitar 101. They were out there hanging out, and that's probably, Ernest has already touched on that, but certainly with how Ted has been and Sean, everybody's pretty tight. And I think that the idea is you're trying to grow the pie. The pie gets bigger instead of separating the pie. You know what I mean? And that's gone a long way. And I think for making that music get out more, and more people get to hear it and get to enjoy it and buy it. And it's important.
I like the way you got the pie in there, Darren, because this is, after all, Pie Records here with Ryan.
Thanks.
See, that's good.
Thank you.
It was good.
Yeah. I'll be here all day.
The Tremolo guys, it was a similar thing. I've been hanging around on like the Surf Guitar 101 forum, and everybody gets friendly. Tremolo Beer Gut was, as they have their own publishing company and their own record label, Crunchy Frog record label, Crunchy Tunes. They were participating in South by Southwest in Austin, Texas, several years ago, and I got a note asking if I could help set up a pop-up show for them. And so we did. We set it up at a cool little dive in Austin, and they came in, and they decorated the place, right? Because every show has to have smoke and like red lighting to it. So there was Donna up on a chair putting red gels over the lighting, and they got the fog machine going, smoke machine going, and they just killed it. I mean, it was great. And we got to play for them, and they liked what we were doing. So subsequent years, I'd make a trip up to Austin to go see them when they were hanging around. And then they came to the States. What was that, Darren? 2018 when we did SG 101? Yeah, because it wasn't one in 20.
That was 18.
Yeah.
18.
So we got to spend time with them in California at the surf convention, the SG 101 surf convention. And we got to play them twice. We hung out with them on a Friday night, and we went to we were looking for a place to eat, and so we went to this one restaurant that is a corporate style restaurant, but it's a rock stars corporate style restaurant, and got to listen to Yebo really tear them up, make fun of them. and then we hung out, we got to play. But what was really cool about these guys is they're entrepreneurs too. I loved your interview that you did with them, Ryan, but man, have they got it going on. And they love brisket, they love Texas brisket, so we're all into that.
Yeah.
And but the funny thing is, we're in California, and it's the Tremolo Beer Gut and some of their people that work with them and for them in the label and publishing, and we're backstage, and now they've arranged in what I thought was a very European type style. They had this big table set up, and all of their group was sitting around. Nobody else was doing this. They just backstage set up a big table. All of them are sitting around. They're bringing out, buckets of champagne and platters of food, and they just, all thing was missing were a candelabra or candlesticks on the table, or fancy tablecloth. But man, they're two hilarious guys too.
Hilarious.
Nalna, I was soliciting some advice for mastering for the record, and Nalna just said, hey man, I want to do it. And I went, what? Okay, yeah. And he did, Ryan, and he really put some nasty on this. He did a nice job of it just has a certain to it that I really like.
That's so cool. That's so cool. One thing that interests me is the SG 101 convention. Being from San Antonio, how did you make the connection to Jeff Hansen and Big Tiki Guy to get in there? I mean, you obviously have great music, but a festival like that is a pretty big deal, and congratulations to you guys. Tell me how the reception was and how you got in there.
Well, I bugged the heck out of him for years, really, honestly. And, and he heard the band, he heard the music. And again, we're giving accolades to people. Jeff is a great guy.
Yeah.
I just got a message from Jeff giving me a hint about something I should do for the band. And he's just that type of guy. But he's also very honest. He told me early on, well, he goes, I like your music, but no one here knows you, So we went about traveling. We had to get out there and do a little bit more traveling to other markets. So we played, we first went to Georgia, Decatur, Atlanta area, and we played for Chad Shivers. Chad's a great guy too. He had his monthly surf event that he had going on. So we did that. Darren, what was the name of that event? Do you remember?
Oh man, it's oh gosh, I can't.
It's not the Southern.
He just did it.
So yeah, it's not the Southern Stomp, but yeah, it's something similar. But that was a monthly installment that we played, and oddly enough, on the bill was Genki Panic, who you just talked to. I saw you interview them.
Yeah, they're great.
Yeah, they were there.
And so then we another great guy, Emilio, who has a company called Planet the Reverb. They had us go down to Mexico. They brought us to Mexico. We went to Mexico City. They hosted us, and we did 3 shows down there, and we had a blast. And Darren did not want to come back home, and neither did I.
Yeah.
So
we just wanted to stay there.
Yeah.
Yep.
So we got we had a South by Southwest. We were an official band one year for that, and so we just started building our resume, Ryan. And then I approached him again, and he said, "Yeah, we want to have you guys on." He has a certain ratio. He works of international bands, bands out of the state, and then California bands. And it just turned, it happened that year there was a good slot, a position for us. So we got to go, and we did 2 shows. We did the convention, and the next night we did another show at a local venue, and it was a blast. It was fun. And then Darren, do you remember what the name of the restaurant is that we went to
You
afterwards?
mean
It was,
you mean, well, we went to that tiki joint the first night we were there,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
We
yeah,
didn't play that night, right? And then the
yeah.
next day we played. I can't. It was like a breakfast place, right?
Yeah,
And
it
I
was a
can't think-
cool, like, thematic. It was like the fisherman's something or another. And Ryan, you're gonna dig this because
I can't
a lot of the
think
folks were gonna go have this big dinner, like this big family dinner. It's probably 10 o'clock at night, something like that. So it's kind of a family style diner place. And so we wanted to go. So Dave Arnson from Insect Surfers, he drives us. So we get to travel with him. And Dave is great because the first thing he told us when he met us after we played, he said, quote, "Thank you for not sucking," end quote. And I thought that was a great compliment. So we got to ride with him, and we get there, and it's John Paul Balick, it's Jeff Hansen, it's
Surfer Joe.
Surfer Joe is there. It's who else? It was like,
Was it
sitting around-
High Tide? What's that
Vincent.
fellow's name?
Yeah, Vincent probably
Vincent, yeah,
was
Vincent.
there.
Yeah, Vincent's wife was there.
Yeah, we met Vincent and Magdalena during that time too, because the Black Flamingos had played. I sat down and talked to Ferens for a while.
Oh yeah.
And there must be something about playing surf music, Ryan, that makes people just good people, because everyone we've met or talked to, they've been, one, really kind to us, and two, just a lot of fun to talk with and hang out with.
And over breakfast at 10 o'clock at night, it's my favorite meal of the day.
Yeah. There was, and you have some big personalities there, like Lorenzo, he's kind of at the head of the table, kind of running things a little bit. And we had talked, he wanted to come to Texas. He wanted Surfer Joe to do a small Texas tour. And so he was working with a couple of people, and we tried to get them down here, but the logistics just weren't working out. So I hope sometime that Surfer Joe does get down to Texas.
Lorenzo's such a great guy. He's such a great guy, and he was so kind to me when we were speaking. I had such a great time. We had a long conversation, and he's another guy that's an entrepreneur and just so into everything. It's a lifestyle for him, which it is for most people in this genre. But he puts his heart and soul into every aspect of the genre.
Yeah, he does. And he is a true. And that's an interesting thing too. Is like these guys, whether it's, we were talking about Ted or Surfer Joe or Yebo and Nalna, I mean, they've got good business instincts.
And
that's
details.
important.
It's about the details, man. They're not afraid to make sure that everything is right. They don't miss a thing. That's so critical in a time where people can get diverted very easily to something else. So it's like the quality's got to be high, and they insist on it. And that's a good bar to set for guys like us. We want to be part of that too. So very important.
And the other thing that Ryan, are you familiar with the compilation that came out last year called Waves of Care?
No, I am not.
It's a CD that John Blair and the producer put together, and what it is, it's a recording of that particular, the 2018 History 101 convention. And it's live recordings. So I received a note from John asking that I would release, give them permission to use some live cuts. And so we did, and man, it's a great CD to have, because it's that year, there were so many great people on there, like Fascinating Creatures of Deep, Black Flamingos, that's Vincent's band. The Blue Hawaiians played. They were amazing.
Were on there.
Yeah. Kaisers of California, which is Chris Barfield and friends, doing, and he's another great guy too. Tremble Beer Gut's on here. The Sentinels Tribute, Frankie and the Pool Boys played. They're on it. Urban Surf Kings, PJ and the Galaxy Tribute. Surfer Joe was there. King Pelican, us. Agamemnon's, yes, and some bonus tracks from previous shows. And the deal about this was released to raise money to help out musicians during the pandemic. So, we were happy to be part of that.
That's awesome. I know things are getting slowly back to normal, but it was very important to me whenever a stream would come on, they would do the musicians would do a live show on Facebook. It was very important to me. There's a guy from a band called Scott Reynolds, and he was the one that stuck out to me. He did a live stream show, and he's one of my favorite singers. And I thought it was very, very good timing and a very good thing to capitalize on, because you can't play out. So they put these shows on there, and there were so many bands doing that. And I think not only the bands were hurting, but the fans of the bands were very grateful for things like that.
Yeah, we did a couple, a homegrown one for sure for a certain neighborhood in San Antonio, and then we did one that was tied into our local NPR station for Texas Public Radio, and that was actually, well, no, that wasn't live. That was recorded live and then released. Yeah, and that was a lot of fun to be a part of. So people get very inventive. When you have a situation like the pandemic, it creates opportunities that you might not have explored before. The only thing I would say happened during that time, Ryan, is then there was oversaturation, of the streams, and then it became, then you have to pick and choose. So once everyone started doing it, then we had the same issues that you would have with a venue, or something. It's like everyone's on Saturday night at 8:00. So there's that thing. But I'm looking forward to playing live.
Yeah, there's nothing like I'm sure for you, there's nothing like being in front of a group and just feeling that energy coming off the crowd. They're all eyes are on you. They're really into it, and then in turn you're very into it, and it's more of an exchange than it would be online.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
So one thing I love is the things coming out of Mexico City in Mexico. The bands, they have a festival there. I know the Neptunas played there. Dr. Triton's from there. I would go for the food alone, but what was your experience in Mexico City? Because it's on my bucket list to visit, and I just want to know what your take is on the scene and just the atmosphere.
I've got so much I could say about that, but I've been talking too much, so I'm gonna let my buddy Darren kick this one off.
Man, okay, it started again. Yeah, Ernest is right. There's just so many things to comment on, but it started with our flight. Like the flight was better. Like an average flight, you get on Southwest Airlines. I shouldn't say that out loud, right? But you get a typical airline in the United States, and it is what it is. Well, we get on this flight, and we're going to go to Mexico City. The guys, so Lloyd and Ernest have to carry their guitars on. Hopefully, they don't have to stow the guitars underneath the plane, right? In most cases now, they probably would make you do that in a U.S. plane. The first thing they did is took the guitars and put them in a closet in the plane, so they didn't have to, stow them down underneath. And
they changed the boarding order.
Yeah,
they had us board. We had the last number because they're smart enough to load the back of the plane to the front. Not everybody racing for the best boarding pass to get the best seat.
Right.
So we got on relatively early because we were sitting in the back. Oh, they changed our seat, I should say. And then they took care of our stuff. And from San Antonio, Mexico City is a 2-hour, 15-minute flight.
Yeah.
And so I'll let Darren continue the story because it was a blast.
so then we land, and it's Emilio and Uncle Jaime and Donovan. They picked us up. Great guys, just super guys. They're excited we're there. And we were talking about earlier how, details, how important it is to do this the right way. Well, they treated us like we were their family, man. They took care of us as soon as we got there, drove us everywhere we needed to go, got us food as soon as we got there. I mean, the first thing that they really wanted to do was hang out. And Pelican is definitely our past masters at hanging out. We're big fans of hanging out. So to have them offer that right away was great. We had and they even commented that some groups that they had brought down in the past were not really interested in hanging out, which was of course beyond us. So, it was dinner. It was again, details. We played 3 shows, and they're trying to help us out by providing gear. So they've got amps for us. They got drums for me. All I brought was a bag of cymbals, and they got our King Pelican logo offline and made a bass drum head that looks like my bass drum head that I would have on my set here. Wow. Stuff like that, man. Who does that? Those guys do that. They're wonderful. And then you're in Mexico City, which is this just culturally rich place, man. You go down to Zona Rosa. We walked around where the pyramid was, and it was just it was the downtown. It was amazing. We loved it.
The food was fantastic. Like Darren said, when we arrived that afternoon, we went to a place, really cool place, and we spent 2 hours there just drinking and eating. I had pozole. We had some flautas that were fantastic. We're drinking Mexican beer, and everyone's, we're eating and drinking the afternoon away, like royalty. And then I told the guys, well, let's pick up the tab on this, because they're good enough to drive us from the airport, which is no easy feat.
Not there.
And I won't even tell you how much it was, but this is 6 guys eating and drinking for 2 hours. And it was less than feeding a family of 4 McDonald's or something like that. It was ridiculous.
Wow.
Cheap, inexpensive. And we Ubered, everywhere. Uber is a way to go in Mexico City. So the guys, provided us with Ubers to get to the gigs. I met up with another friend one day, and he took me to, you can get tacos al pastor everywhere. But he took me to one place that it had just opened. So they were just doing it outside and with a fire source right here, and just shaving the pork off. And man, it was great. And then, as Darren's kind of alluded to, we like to enjoy the adult beverages from time to time.
Well,
and what was our favorite drink, Darren?
Well, there was pulque, right? We drank that.
Lloyd had that.
But the big one was mezcal, because we had already we're in San Antonio, so we're not very far from Mexico. I mean, it's you can drive 2 hours in Mexico, but we liked mezcal, but we got down there and we thought, okay, well, we got to check it out. We got to see what's going on. So we discovered a brand that we like in our findings. But the other thing we did is one of the nights we were there, they have a bar that's just completely dedicated to mezcal, and we checked that out too a little bit.
Yeah, we did.
We did. They had a big menu of just mezcal, and so we tried some.
Wow.
And some more.
And then
a little more.
Yeah. But but those their culture is so much about the hang, man. That's what we love. I think that's pervasive, I think, with a lot of the bands that we play with anyway. I think that's a big part. The whole idea, like you play a gig and you're going to go eat at the diner at 12:30 at night, because everybody does that. Musicians do that, but for sure. But it's just great to have this extended, kind of an extended family, man. You can go see these guys and it's like your long lost brothers.
Yeah,
So-
one quick story about how generous everyone was. So friendly. We made a lot of friends. We're still friends with. We communicate social media. The last time we were playing, I really got into it, and I was wearing a Pearl Snap shirt, and on the Pearl Snap shirt, I had my favorite lucky pin. It's a very old pin that has just basic. It's just John F. Kennedy's face, JFK's face on it. That's all it is. And so I got up so excited. I took my shirt off and I threw it into the crowd. And then I realized, damn it, the shirt didn't really bother me as much. It was losing that pin.
Yeah.
Well, our friends, communicated and found the person that got the shirt, and they mailed the pin back to me.
Okay. And another story. So this is like the second to last day we're there. And or maybe it was pretty kind of middle of the way during the trip. We're in an Uber and I lost my phone. And so phone disappears. We're trying to find the phone. So what we ended up doing is Emilio in Spanish calls my phone and says, hey, if you got this and you found this phone, call this other number and we'll meet you, just on a chance to see if anything would happen. Well, sure enough, man, a girl called us, we met and got the phone back in
Awesome.
Mexico City. How does that happen? It
Yeah.
doesn't happen. It happened there. It sure did, man. Wonderful
Yeah.
people. We loved it.
Hey, Brian, I should we need to spend a little time giving some love to Lloyd Walsh. You couldn't join us today, but Lloyd Walsh is our bassist. He's also a co-writer of tunes. And of course, we're talking with Darren Cooper, our drummer, another great guitar player in the band and a co-writer of tunes. And I'm your buddy Ernest, and I play guitar and write some songs as well. So just to give a little shout out to Lloyd.
Yeah, man.
Before we get cut off, because I have a 40-minute limit on Zoom
Okay.
with more than 2 people. I want to thank you. And I really, really love the fact that you put out a physical record and it did so well for you. And I really enjoyed the music. I've been listening to it for about a week now. But you sent me some things and I liked the live video you sent us.
Oh yeah, that's Western Satellite from Mexico City. Yeah.
So I just wanted to thank you and wish you guys the best of luck coming up next year. I hope you have a lot of shows, some new releases, and I just want to thank you.
Thanks, Ryan. Thanks for having
Ryan.
us, and continued success to you too. I'm watching your interviews all the time. I really enjoy them.
Thanks, man.
Appreciate what you do, man.
Thank you.
Yep.